It's a Northwest lifestyle weekend on Como News. This is IRG's Health Talk. Back to Tom Hutler and Shannon O'Kelly.
Next up, we have Chris Wells, Executive Director of United Way of Thurston County. He's going to be talking about recruiting mass volunteers for vaccine clinics and how the public can help. And Shannon, the vaccine becoming very, very prevalent now, very much available to a lot of us, and we need the people to help put those shots in the arms.
Absolutely. Tom, I just read somewhere where as of April 15th, I think in the state of Washington, the vaccine will be available for the entire population, I think up to 18 years of age. We need help. United Way is there to help get this vaccination, get these vaccines distributed.
All right, here is Shannon O'Kelly and Chris Wells.
Chris, welcome to Health Talk. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Chris, you're the Executive Director for United Way of Thurston County. Let's talk about United Way as an organization. Tell us what United Way is all about. Give me the background.
Oh, well, that's a lot of background, but I'll do my best. United Way of Thurston County and United Ways all over the country and around the world are all independent, serving our communities. We mobilize the caring power of our communities to fight for the health, education, and financial stability of every person in every community we serve. We do that in many, many different ways, and we really seize on that language that we mobilize the caring power of community because we do that by mobilizing resources that we reinvest in nonprofits in the community, doing the best work in our focus areas of health, education, and financial stability. We mobilize the people power of volunteers to deploy them to serve in the community. We mobilize the great brains and minds in our communities to really come together and come up with thoughtful, long-term strategies to really get at the issues that are really the most important things we need to attend to in our communities. So we do a lot of different things in a lot of different arenas, and most specifically in the last year since the pandemic, our United Way has pivoted entirely to responding to the health and economic impacts of the pandemic on the people of Thurston County.
Wow, what a great organization. I want to kind of drill down a little bit. So is it fair to say United Way in Thurston County works as kind of a central hub of fundraising and then distributing funds and identifying needs and going out to other charitable organizations? Tell us how that works.
Well, yes, that's one of the things we do. We're a local fundraiser and a local funder into those organizations providing direct services. And a good example of that in the last year has been mobilizing as much as we can in terms of financial resources and then making sure that we are deploying those resources to all of those programs that have really been essential to our community successfully navigating our way through the pandemic. They saw a huge surge in demand from the people in the community for their services, lots of need out there, and also it became a lot more complicated and expensive to do their work. For example, the food bank, they probably saw a good 20 or 30% increase in the number of households who were accessing food bank services from many people who had never before accessed that kind of social safety net. And so they had to buy a lot more food. They had to change the way they operated so that they could maintain, a healthy work environment for the volunteers and the people who work at the food bank. They had to create pop-up locations throughout the county to make sure that they were getting nutritious food to all of the people who needed it. And they had to be resourced to be able to do that work that was essential to our community's survival of the pandemic. So United Way made sure that they were resourced to do that by not only fundraising throughout the community, but entering into partnerships with our local city and county governments to help deploy those health and human service dollars where they needed to go. We provided direct support for senior services, for emergency rent and utility assistance before that first raft of federal assistance arrived. And we did this through partnerships throughout the community and through the support of the community.
Wow, amazing organization. Chris, how did you get involved? You have so much passion. I can just hear it in your voice. Tell me how you got involved and where's your passion come from?
Well, it's funny because I was in radio for 15 years myself. In the last 10 years, I did a morning radio show in Florida, and that was my introduction to United Way. We, in our role as morning show hosts, interviewed the CEO of the United Way of North Central Florida years ago, and I was really passionate about what they did, and I really had a fire for United Way. I was hired to be executive director of United Way of Thurston County about 3.5 years ago.
Chris Wells and Shannon O'Kelly coming up again with our next segment next on Como.
It's a Northwest Lifestyle Weekend on Como News. Now back to IRG's Health
We're
Talk.
speaking with Chris Wells and Shannon O'Kelly about the vaccination and how you can help.
Chris, thank you for what you do for United Way. It's such a huge part of just charity services and access for people that have needs. And when we talk about needs, particularly with this pandemic, you mentioned the food bank, how you had a 30% increase in the need for food. So there's a lot of food insecurity out there. What else have you seen with this pandemic that you really could use some help with right now?
Well, our most recent project that we've undertaken is a partnership with Thurston County Public Health and Social Services. We are working with them to mobilize an army of volunteers to help staff their mass vaccination clinics. The clinics right now are being held at SPSCC, that's South Puget Sound Community College, and we have future clinics coming to the Thurston County Fairgrounds. And we have recruited a ton of volunteers, but the vaccination effort is going to be ongoing through the summer. So this is a month-long effort, and we need to keep fresh volunteers coming through. So anybody who's interested in volunteering as a non-medical staff person at the mass vaccination clinics can fill out a form online at unitedway-thurston.org/COVID-19. It's a very simple form. You can submit it. It goes to our Director of Volunteer Programs, Lindsay Fujimoto, and she will be reaching out over the next several months to schedule the people we need to serve at these mass vaccine sites.
Give us an idea what you would do. What role would you have?
Each clinic day requires about 86 individual non-medical volunteers. So there's traffic control. There are people who are verifying that the patients in line are eligible in the current phase to receive the vaccine. There are vaccine runners. There's data entry that's being done. There's all sorts of different jobs coordinating and supporting the medical volunteers and the public health and social services staff who are on site at the vaccine clinics. And we promise it is a rich, rewarding volunteer experience, and we can't get everybody in Thurston County who wants a vaccine vaccinated without those volunteers.
What else do you need? I mean, from United Way standpoint and perspective, volunteers, what else could you use help with?
We could always use your financial support. You can go to unitedway-thurston.org and click that give button and help support United Way so that we can continue to provide this vital support in the community.
It's so important. As you kind of grow and work through this pandemic, Chris, do you see any need in the future?
The need is always going to be there. What we expect right now is that we probably are going to have a pretty narrow focus over the next year or so in the sort of post-pandemic resilience and recovery of the community. But moving forward, what we're doing today right now is still in our wheelhouse of health, education, and financial stability. And the day is going to come when we emerge from the pandemic and then we return to our more traditional funding of long-term priorities in those three focus areas. Health, education, and financial stability are the three things that are just irretrievably bound to the success of every child, every adult, every family, every community, and every economy. And that's where we stay focused.
Well, Chris, thank you for what you do with United Way. Thank you for your passion and obviously your caring. Good luck to you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to Chris Wells, Executive Director of United Way of Thurston County, talking about recruiting more volunteers for the vaccine clinics, how you can help volunteer. You can go to United Way at thurston.org for more information. As we mentioned at the outset, Shannon, the more vaccines given out, the more people are needed to help administer them.
Absolutely. I'm so encouraged by kind of what we're seeing out there in our public, people getting vaccinated. It's encouraging. Again, we talked about this sports activities increasing. Here we are in phase 3. Let's keep working together to push this forward.
All right. We'll have our final segment after we take this time out on Como.